Hi everyone, Vazgen Durartian here, and I'm super excited to share this episode with you all. Now, I'm headed to historical Western Armenia, which is now in modern-day Eastern Turkey. And in particular, I am headed to a very beautiful place called Hamshen on the Black Sea coast of Western Armenia. And I actually do have ancestry from Western Armenia, and so to be able to go back to my indigenous homeland means the world to me, and to be able to share it with you all means to me just as much. And so we're gonna get the show on the road. So our journey starts at the Georgian-Armenian border. Hamshen tour will be taking us through an area called Javakh, which is historical northern Armenia. These territories are now located within the modern-day borders of Georgia, thanks to the colonization efforts of the Russians, and in particular, Stalin, who carved up the eastern territories of Armenia and for strategic purposes gave them to neighboring republics. It is important to note though, you guys, that the vast majority of those residing in Javakh and Akhalkalak, which are in the same vicinity, are of Armenian descent. Now, their dialect is quite unique and they have persevered, being able to preserve their unique culture despite the ramifications of colonization. Also, you guys, it is important to note that the border between Armenia and Turkey is currently closed, and that is the reason why we will be making this trek across modern-day Georgia in order to enter historical Western Armenia. Before we arrive at the Turkish-Georgian border, we will be making a quick stop at an Armenian-owned market, where we will exchange our Armenian dirhams for Turkish liras. And there it is, everyone, the Turkish-Georgian border. Now, if you guys do make the conscious decision to make this sacred journey into historical Western Armenia, then obviously you're going to have to cross the Georgian-Turkish border. And I just want to let my audience know that I had a very awful experience at this border crossing. 9 gendarmes pretty much got suspicious over a family album and 2 Armenian books that I had inside my luggage, and they interrogated me for about 40 minutes. So I just want to let my audience know that if you are going to cross this border crossing, literally just bring your clothes and that's it, because they will get very suspicious over every little tiny thing, especially if it pertains to other quote-unquote neighboring nationalities. So yeah. After successfully crossing the border, we were greeted by the Islamic call to prayer, which reminded us that although we are the indigenous and original stewards of this land, that our indigenous territories are now located in a foreign country. Making a trip out to Western Armenia may not be for those who are the faintest of hearts. And the reason why I say that is because emotions ran high as we made our way through these lost territories. Unfortunately, our indigenous Western territories were lost as a result of the Armenian genocide, which took place in the year 1915. We are victims of settler colonialism, and although we suffered a lot, the land never forgets its indigenous caretakers, those who danced, cried, laughed, celebrated, and prayed on it for thousands of years. I'm going to give you guys a bit of a historical synopsis on Ardahan. The region was originally inhabited by pre-Bronze Age and Bronze Age era indigenous Armenian Highlander tribal confederations, such as the Kuraraksis culture. Later on, the Iberian Kingdom and the Kingdom of Armenia were in constant warfare with each other for control over Ardahan. Eventually, the Kingdom of Armenia managed to keep Ardahan under its rule, and they referred to the area as Gugark, which Strabo mentions in his writings. Then, in the Middle Ages, The Arab Abbasid Caliphate conquers the area and utilizes it for trade and strategic purposes. The Byzantines then invade Ardahan in the year 1021 and butcher its population. But the suffering doesn't stop there. The Mongols then invade from Central Asia in 1230 and bring various Turkic tribes with them, such as the Oghuz from the Central Asian steppes. These Turkic tribes eventually settle on indigenous Armenian territories and establish the Ottoman Empire. Eventually, Ardahan, along with the rest of Western Armenia, is subjected to Ottoman Turkish rule. In the year 1915, Ardahan and its indigenous Armenian inhabitants are subjected to deportation, extermination, and forceful conversion to Islam. According to an 1829 census, you guys, Ardahan had 400 Armenian households. That's a lot. After leaving Ardahan, we make our way towards the Pontic Mountains. Hamshen is located on the other side of this mountain range. But check out that beautiful nature. Super abundant with pine trees and greenery. Wow. And now we get to soar like eagles and get a bird's eye view of this magical area. Now that we're done soaring like eagles, we're going to make our way towards a magical place called Shavshat. Now, Shav in Georgian means black, and Shad in Armenian means a lot. So it's a combination of both of these words, the name of the vicinity, and which means a lot of black, quite literally. Even though I see a lot of green, I don't really see black, but you guys can be the judge of that. So we're slowly making our way through the beautiful yaylas, meaning village dwellings or summer houses, and which will be coming up in just a bit. But as you can see, there's cattle grazing everywhere, and here are the beautiful yaylas as mentioned. It is important to note, you guys, that there's still a lot of Armenians that live in these areas, and although they are Muslim and quote-unquote Turkified, they definitely do exist, and we encounter them quite often walking around in the villages. Now we're headed to a very beautiful place called Kara Göl. In Turkish, Kara means black and Göl means lake. And this place looks like a scene out of a National Geographic documentary. So first impression, I am definitely very blown away by this place. The vibe is absolutely stunning. It's a very family type place. There's a lot of families with their kids, a lot of people making barbecue and just kind of soaking in the nature. And of course, that lake is absolutely stunning. It looks like a beautiful painting. Everyone in our tour group was in complete awe of this place, and we couldn't help but to reminisce that our ancestors were standing at the banks of this lake for thousands of years and taking in this beauty as we are today. We then made a quick stop at this cafe next to the lake, and we got to try a traditional local pudding dish that was absolutely delicious. I highly recommend it. And we were also greeted by a cafe employee who kindly asked us where we were visiting from, and we proudly said that we were visiting from Armenia, and his eyes lit up with excitement, and he began to speak in the Hamshen Armenian dialect with us, and I was just absolutely blown away by his excitement and happiness to have encountered us. Lake Karagiol definitely did not fail to impress us, and now we're headed to a very interesting place shrouded in a lot of history called Tibet Monastery. Now, Tibet Monastery is a Chalcedonian monastery that was built under the Bagratuni Armenian dynasty in the 10th century AD. Unfortunately, the local government decided to blow the dome up in 1961, and thus the dome came crashing down, but its Armenian architecture is still very much preserved on the exterior of what is left of it. Also, you guys, these photos that you're looking at were taken by a Russian by the name of Andrei Pavlinov in the year 1888, and thanks to his photos, we're able to see what the monastery looked like before its demise. Now I'm going to give you guys a tour of what the interior looks like. As you can see, there are cute puppies which have taken shelter in the remnants of the monastery. But unfortunately, there isn't much left, since it was all blown to pieces in 1961. But we did notice that those who visited the monastery before us left lit candles on the ruins of the monastery, hoping that their prayers would probably be heard from this historical site. As we began to trek the outer areas of the monastery, we discovered a cool staircase, which leads to an underground room. Our awesome tour guide mentioned that the local government has been conducting archaeological excavations here recently, and rooms such as this are slowly being discovered. As we were exploring, we noticed a local gendarme patrolling the monastery, tracking our every move. Also, I walked my way over to a sign that was put in place for visitors next to the monastery, and although the Bagratuni Armenian dynasty is mentioned in the sign, the Armenian people are not mentioned, of course. And your boy had to get a quick photo shoot going in front of the monastery. Although it was cool to revel in the beauty of the monastery, it was also a sobering reminder looking at the sign that so much goes into erasing the area's Armenian indigenous past. And now we're making our way to a castle or fortress that was built by the Bagratuni Armenian dynasty in the 9th century AD. Today, the fortress is called the Shafshat Castle. And recently, the local government has invested in conducting archaeological excavations at the fortress, and they have uncovered a winery, a chapel, rooms, and other artifacts as well, such as pottery and cannonballs. So, according to our tour guide, we actually got super lucky because this fortress is usually not open to the public. And upon our arrival, we quickly discovered that the gate was opened at the entrance, and so we obviously took advantage and decided to go inside and take a look at this Armenian fortress. And of course, the historian in me was super excited to explore and do some independent research and see what I could find. And we get to pretend to be eagles again and get a nice bird's eye view of the area. Shad Shnorak thank you very much, Shavshat Castle, for this amazing and rare experience. I will definitely see you again someday. We now continue the journey onwards through the Armenian highlands, and we're blown away per usual by just the beauty of the canyons, the lakes, the rivers that we keep encountering, and just the abundance of our indigenous lands. Before we land in Hamshen, we'll be making a quick stop in the historical Armenian city of Artvin. As we were making our way towards Artvin, we quickly learned that the strictness of the Turkish government and the Turkish gendarmes wasn't just at the border crossing, but it also followed us when we were traveling from city to city. So when you're traveling from one city to another in eastern Turkey, Turkish gendarmes will usually stop all vehicles, including tour buses, and check everyone's identifications and passports to make sure that we're not dangerous people of some sort. Thankfully, they did not raid my luggage or my personal belongings this time, and they let us continue on to our journey to Hamshen in peace. And this is what, ladies and gentlemen, a Armenian looks like after they've survived a treacherous border crossing and a gendarme bus invasion. And the invasion of the gendarmes continue. They've just simply shapeshifted, and now they're undercover. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the historical Armenian city of Artvin. Alright everyone, online history class is now in session. Take good notes because we will be having a quiz. No, I'm kidding. So basically the history of Artvin goes all the way back to the Bronze Age when indigenous Armenian tribes existed in the area such as the Kuraraxis, the Armeshupria, and the Hayasa-Azi. The city then changed hands multiple times. It began with the Scythians, then the Arabs in 853 AD, and then the Byzantines in 1023, and then the Seljuk Turks under the direction of Alp Arslan came in from Central Asia, and that was in 1064 AD. And then of course the Seljuk Turks established the Ottoman Empire, and then Artvin was under their realm of influence. And then in 1915 the Armenian genocide was perpetrated, and Artvin's predominantly Armenian indigenous population was butchered and kicked out. When we were making a quick stop in Artvin, we were greeted by the energetic and upbeat melodies of the horon, which was being played on the local traditional instrument called the Black Sea Kemençe. The melody reminded us that we are getting closer and closer to Hamshen. Our arrival in Hamshen began with a dinner which consisted of a delicious lamb kebab plate. Yum. After having dinner, I made my way to my hotel room with thoughts of all the amazing places that I'll be visiting in the forested highlands of Hamshen in the coming days. But the Islamic call to prayer soon began to echo, and I was again quickly reminded that although I'm on historically indigenous Armenian land, that times have changed, and that the local indigenous Armenian inhabitants of the area are now living under foreign rule. After freshening up, we all decided to go out and explore the city a bit and have some tea. Hopa is the town in which we will be staying in for the next few days, and it is one of Hamshen's bigger towns. Also, the weather is nice and warm, so late spring until early fall seems to be the best time to visit Hamshen for those of you who are warm weather lovers like me. Hamshen is located on the Black Sea coast, and the Black Sea is very unique because of its hydrology. So its deep waters are very anoxic, meaning it lacks oxygen. Meanwhile, the surface waters are very oxygen rich. In terms of geography, the Black Sea is very mountainous. It's heavily forested with alpine meadows and glacier lakes in its higher elevations. Its climate is very humid and subtropical. With high rainfall, especially in the summers, it can get very warm and humid here. But in terms of biodiversity, the Black Sea used to have a seal species which got hunted to extinction, and the last report of a seal was back in 1997, I believe. But there are dolphins, small shark species, along with a lot of fish here in the Black Sea. Additionally, you guys, the Black Sea is of great economic importance, but as it pertains to Hamshen, agriculture in particular is a huge thing here. So tobacco, hazelnuts, and tea are readily grown and exported to the world. Now that we're all Black Sea experts, let's go and have some tea at a Hamshen Armenian-owned establishment. Upon our arrival, we were greeted and seated by Jez, who is the owner of the establishment. One of my tour mates decided to let Jez know that I play Hamshen Armenian traditional songs on the kemençe, and so Jez excitedly asked me to go ahead and grab my instrument and play for everyone. Soon, the restaurant's Hamshen Armenian staff decided to join in on the fun and teach us some local Hamshen Armenian dances. But the night did not end with just dancing. Jez asked me to sing in the Hamshen Armenian dialect as well. After all the fun, Jez wanted to give me a brief history lesson on Hamshen and share some amazing stories. He pointed at a familiar symbol which guarded the entrance of his establishment. He was pointing at the ancient Armenian Arevchach eternity wheel symbol and asked me if I knew what it was. He explained to me in the Hamshen Armenian dialect that it is the symbol of the Hamshen Armenian people.
Hamşeni nişan geldi.
100 kilo.
İskagan? Antange.
Hamşeni Lizu
Ayo.
Kartuşe
Ayo.
İsa Hamşeni İsa.
After conversing with Jez for a few hours outside his restaurant in our native tongue, I couldn't help but to feel an overwhelming amount of happiness and hope. Although the start of my journey to Hamshen was a bit difficult and at times emotionally charged as a result of seeing all the historical ramifications around me, I was beyond thankful though that I was greeted by my own people here in Hamshen. Seeing their eyes light up with happiness every time we spoke in Armenian with them made me realize that by visiting our brothers and sisters in Hamshen, that we are aiding in the preservation of their unique and ancient culture, language, and identity. I can't wait to wake up in the morning and continue my journey. So stay tuned for episode 2, you guys.
Zendide parçaka Zendide parçaka Çue hivandita